Yo, what's up, people? What is going on? Welcome to the show. As you see the name on the title, it's me and Paul here, Canadian, Ozzy over here, and we are going to talk about all the bullshit rumors that these Americans have been talking about our countries. I think it's fucking stupid. It's ridiculous. And I mean, first thing I wanted to say is, though, big respect to you, Paul, and the rest of the crew for what you guys did last night. You know, not
Oh,
letting these
jeez.
guys bully you guys out and shit. Respect for that, man.
Cheers, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I do consider all you guys friends, like I said, 100%. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
got you guys back regardless. So fuck them dudes.
Yeah, for real.
So with that being said, man, what's up to the people that are popped in to watch this stream? I know you guys seen the American flag and be like, oh, fuck these Canadians. You know what I mean? And Aussies, fuck these guys. But yo, I mean, it's shit we have to do because the shit that they talk about is absolute fucking garbage, man.
It's crazy, man. The stuff that I've been seeing on the internet, like people like talking about, like I don't know, like they're saying people are saying that she was joking, but that conservative commentator woman, I forget her name, but she was like, we must invade Australia, like we must take Australia back because they are now a police state. I was just like, either she was memeing hard or like she was legitimately, I can't tell where she was being truthful or not, but that's the kind of, they were protesting in New York, free Australia. That was a hashtag that trended on Twitter. And I
Are
was
you
like,
kidding?
I looked out my window at work and I'm watching people drive and walk down the street and I'm like, what's happening? Is Korea like coming to like invade? Like what's happening? Like,
It makes no sense that people that don't live here or never been here have the nerve to tell us how things are going on in our country. It's so ridiculous, man. It drives me up a wall. Like I had some fool the other day. I'm gonna call his name because I don't give a fuck. John, right? Bald man bad. You guys know, came on the stream that time with Ashley and started talking shit. I had to kick him off because he was being disrespectful. And then he started calling me a racist.
yeah.
Look who's on my stream, guys. Paul ain't black. You know what I mean? So why would I stream with Paul if I was racist? And my girlfriend is white
Yeah,
as
no,
well.
but well, not just that. Why would you have like that open conversation the other day on the OOC, right, about Colin Kaepernick, where there were two white guys questioning him, like questioning that
Exactly.
thing, right? We were talking to three black dudes from different parts of America and Canada, and like talking about it in an open dialogue, like which I
Mhm.
appreciate too. Props to you, man, because like you have open conversation. You're not afraid to talk about these things openly and have disagreements and then like wrestle with that and come to like I think we came to some common ground, man. Like I feel like
Mhm.
there was parts of it that we were like, yeah, no, I don't agree, but there was parts of it where we actually, I could see your side of it and I could see Roberto's side of it, like what you were saying, and that's only through open conversation. I think
Facts.
that's why it's important to have a topic like this when we're like, hey, we live in these countries, you guys don't. You're seeing videos taken out of context and saying that the police are like suppressing people, like, and like I want to talk about that because that's to do with
Mhm.
Victoria, and I want to talk about what's happening down there because there's even Victorians are saying this sort of thing. They're being oppressed, right? But I'll get into that later. But like, yeah, we're going to talk about this stuff because there's a lot of Americans that are like either ignorant, they're believing the mainstream news,
Mhm.
right? A lot of the conservative media, particularly, is saying like Australia's authoritarian, and there's this whole thing going on about them. Like, I got some guy in a stream with MSK saying some guy named Alex Jones came into the stream and was like telling me that federal officers were going to doors and holding people down and giving them the shot. And I was just like, this is just categorically false. It's not real. It's not true. And anywhere in
Absolutely.
Australia, that's not happening. Like, there is pressure, and we'll talk about that. There's
Mhm.
pressure for people to get the shot in certain industries and like healthcare and all that sort of stuff. There's pressure to get the shot there, or you can't go to work. But we'll talk about that because there's a balance between the government's fiduciary duty and care
Mhm.
for its citizens
Right.
inside of a government department, right? Especially in
Mhm.
healthcare versus private institutions, which we can have a debate about. But again, that's at will employment again. So we can talk about that. But yeah, we'll get into it. I found that tweet, by the way.
All right, you want to share it? We could pop it up.
Yeah,
we could start off with that shit.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
It's funny because I don't usually follow Twitter too much. Sometimes I miss posts, right? So I went to notifications and I seen it. I was like, "Hey, Nzo, who are we going?" And I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" I'm like, "Can you believe these fuck? Oh my god, this is so ridiculous." Like, I ain't leaving fucking Canada to go to no fucking America. I can tell you that 100%. I'm not doing that.
So yeah, this is the tweet. I'll blow it up a little bit.
Yeah,
so we can see it nice and big. I'll make it big, as Nerdman says. Make it big. Make it big screen.
You know how we do here.
So if you live in Canada or Australia, my honest advice is to leave. Then he continues, I know that people don't like hearing this, but I have been getting messages daily from frightened people in these two countries for over a year now. Leave. I don't know what Yello means.
Neither do I.
For your FYI, this is for the people who complain. If you're happy with the situation and direction, then enjoy. No skin off my nose, as they say, right? But I want to get down because I commented in here. I'm pretty sure I've got it. Yeah, here it is. Oh my god, this is some hilarious trash right now. So this guy, Australia's not perfect, but there are plenty of worse places to live. Plenty. And I'm like, yeah, this guy's facts right now, man. I can think. And then this guy's like, such as. I'm like, okay, almost the entire continent of Africa, like the Middle East, North Korea, China, like to name a few. Like, according to what? Africa and the Middle East, you are really just naming whole continents at this point. The media is feeding you nonsense. That's what I see just by looking at this statement of yours. And I'm like, how about a universal human rights being non-existent? Like poverty, that's talking about the Middle East there. Poverty, corruption, militias is talking about Africa, right? Especially South Africa and other African countries. You ask for countries that I gave you plenty that are terrible, right? Human rights? Oh, okay, that's good. Seems like we both agree that vax passports are not a good idea and should be. Look, see how he pivots away from his original argument. He's like, go straight into the vax debate.
Right.
Making any differentiation between people and causing segregation by doing so is not something that we should allow. Great that we agree. And I was like, nice try and pivot from your terrible argument. North Korea alone annihilates your stupid point. Vax force, and this is my opinion. People can disagree, and you can feel free to disagree. Vax passports are great. I have a human right not to be infected by an anti-vax conspiracy theorist, much like I have a human right not to inhale a secondary smoke from a smoker. This is just a basic argument, right? You prove my point that people like you are brainwashed. All talk about human rights, yet you allow segregation in the West, which hasn't happened for a long time. The West is no longer free. People like yourself are to blame for that. You can be proud of yourself. And this guy comes in with this facts. So he allows segregation in the West because he still prefers to live in Australia rather than North Korea.
You know what I mean?
Wow. I can't even read it without laughing. And I was like, anti-vax logic. And that's literally what it is, man. This is like this is like what it is. It's like, oh, there's no freedom anymore. I'm like, are we being like, this is what I want to say. Are we being rounded up and put in camps? If we don't want the vaccination, that's not happening in my country, as far as I know. Like, there's conservatives in Australia who are anti-vax, and they're saying that this is akin to like.
I know MSK coming here talking and shit. See what I'm talking about, Americans?
Yeah,
that's what I mean, you Americans.
This guy, but no, they like there are conservatives here that are like saying that it's like the Third Reich, like that the government's becoming, and I'm like, dude, this is just not true. Like,
absolutely,
they're not rounding up anti-vax people and putting them in a camp, and they're like, it's a matter of time. It's like, no, it's not. Like, it's not, because they're about to, like, we'll get into it, but they're about to open my country up. The 80% has almost been reached across our country. Our borders, on November 16th, the Queensland border, which is the state I live in, is about to open its borders to people who are double vaxxed that can cross the state line. Then, on December 16th, they're opening it for everyone to come, no matter who it is.
Right, as long as you're vaxxed, right?
Yeah, exactly. We have been the most contained from the virus because of lockdowns, etc., etc. We did snap lockdowns when there was one case, right? And guess what? We have zero in the community. right? We've got people in quarantine that have it, but we
Mm-hmm.
have 0 in the modern community. We don't have an outbreak in Queensland because of the snap lockdowns, because the government did its job in
Right.
protecting its citizens in the long term so that they could get the vaccination to 80% so that we could all open the borders and have herd immunity. So crocodile sheriffs, okay.
That's the American stupidity we were talking about, guys.
Yeah, that's it right there.
You know?
So yeah, that's where we're at in Australia currently, right? We're almost like there's New South Wales at 90%. We'll talk about what's happening in Victoria and where these big conspiracies are coming from that they're going to authoritarian. But that's my take currently. Like this is the current situation in Australia currently in my state, right? I can walk. We are maskless in my state right now because they did their job. They closed the borders. They kept us safe. They locked down when it was necessary. Like I saw Fox News mocking Queensland for a snap lockdown of 1 case, right, of Delta. But guess what? We have 0 cases in the community right now because our state government did its job and kept us safe. And we're not wearing I went today for the first time. I went out to the shops without a mask. No one was wearing masks. There were police in the streets locking people down and putting cuffs on them, right? I went to the shops. I went to the physio this morning. I didn't have to wear a mask. He wasn't wearing a mask. We are good in Queensland. Now, that's likely to change the next month when we open the borders up and then we start getting an influx of the thing. We're probably going to have lockdowns and all those things, right? But what that does is it gives a chance for the vaccine to do its job and the herd immunity to take its place. That's the whole point of it. That's the plan. That's where we are currently in Australia. That's all I wanted to say on that.
And I'm exactly there. You see, and this is the thing that's good because you're vaxxed, right? So you're vaxxed.
I am double vaxxed.
Right. And I am not, right? But at the end of the day, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, this fucking passport thing that we have here in Canada is against my rights. No, I have the right not to do it. If I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it, right? But I'm not going to fucking talk about, oh, you got the vaccination. So, I'm not going to say that. If that's what you feel is safe for you, and that's fine. And I completely understand them doing it, right? Because I can go like outside, whatever, do my stuff. I can't go to social gatherings. So I can't go to a movie, can't go to anything over like 50 people. And again, it's keeping people safe. And that's what we have done. This is one of the reasons why the numbers here in Australia were never close to the numbers that America had.
Yeah. Oh, you mean in Canada?
Yeah, in Canada, right? Here in Canada and with you in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Like I know your numbers were never as high as America, right? Because
to give you an idea, this is crazy. They did like a breakdown. So Florida, right? The state of Florida has roughly the same amount of population as Australia. Like I think they have 1,000 more than Australia. And they did this comparison. It was on a TikTok, and I was like, I saved it. I was like, this is crazy. Like what's happening here? But they showed the death rate. Right. So across Australia, the same population of Florida, basically, there was 1,000 people who had died Australia-wide in our entire country. In Florida, it was in the tens of thousands.
Yes.
And I was just like, it just blew my mind. I was like, wow. But yeah, that's from snap lockdowns. And like you can call it like authoritarian or whatever. What I would say about the vaccination, just quickly as well, I took the vaccination voluntarily, but I work in health, so I would have. It became mandatory, I think, a month ago to get the vaccination, right? And that's what I was saying earlier. The government has a fiduciary duty, right, to protect its citizens. If they weren't doing this, if they weren't mandating it, there would be people complaining the government wasn't doing anything about it.
Right.
So the government can't win in this situation. They're going to look authoritarian either way. And this whole control thing as well, the government controls us. They always have controlled. They always had a portion of control. Even in America, land of the free, home of the brave, the government controls. They control the narrative of the news. Like this is nothing new. The issue is like there is so much. Look, if we're going to get into like the hardcore things about this, not just what's happening, but there is so much misinformation about this vaccine, right? There's so much out there, and it's perpetuated across Facebook memes. It's like, dude, it's
Yeah.
like the presidential election again in 2016. How it was the great meme war, as a lot of people call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the conservatives call it the great meme, or Trumpers call it the great meme war,
Mm-hmm.
because it was where, like they said, the left can't meme and all these things, right? And there was like an influx of Facebook memes about everything. Okay, and this is what's happening currently. There are older people, the boomers. I'm going to call them out. The boomers are sharing all this information,
Mm-hmm.
and they get on phone calls and they talk about it, and they get in their little huddle, and they don't actually accept any information that counters what they've read on the internet or saw
Exactly.
in a video. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not having go at you here, man. You have it. And everybody has a choice whether they want to take the vaccine or not. My
Mm-hmm.
biggest issue is be informed, be actually
Right.
informed about what it does, because there's so much misinformation out there about what it is
Mm-hmm.
and what it does. And like, this thing exits the body like within a week. Like, it spikes a protein. That's all it
Mm-hmm.
does. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't stay in your white blood cells. It doesn't congeal in the spinal column. There's so much misinformation, man. It's so crazy how much there is. It's like easier to tell you what it does than to debunk all of the stuff out there. But I don't get too much into vaccine. We're talking
What's
about
up?
like the perceptions of what's happening in our countries. So
Right.
yeah, I've talked a
And
lot. So if you want to go with Canada first, then I'll talk about Melbourne after that.
yeah, so like I said, we have the passport here. People are talking about how, oh, the reason why I'm doing this is because, like I said, this dude said that Canada was like fucking neo-Nazi Canada. And I'm like, how? Like, how do you figure that? Right? So that same night I was downtown with my girl and I had this fucking video with people outside in a block party and we're just jamming and listening to salsa music and shit like that. And I'm like, oh, this really looks like neo-Nazi Canada to me. Like, I don't understand where this narrative from neo-Nazi Canada comes on. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, has our government put in places to things to protect us? Yes. Did they lock us down? Yes. Did they give us a curfew? Yes. But at the end of the day, if this is the shit that is going to help me not wear my mask when I go outside, or be able to go and live my life, then
Yes.
fucking do it. Then fucking
Yes.
do it. Yes,
Yes.
100%. You know what I mean?
Oh my
Like,
god! I saw one guy wearing a shirt right at the beginning. I think it was like in midway through 2020 in America, when it was really raging. It started to rage through states. Now, like, first comes the mask, then the mark of the beast, and I was just like,
you're right.
and, and then now people are saying. I watched a debate the other day where a guy literally called up and said the vaccine was the mark of the beast, and I was just like,
and then
oh.
the vaccine is putting the microchip in you and all
Yeah.
kinds of shit.
Well, no, one guy was like, they put eggs in you. There was a past. No, I gotta say this. There's a pastor who has a YouTube channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say I respect religion, but this
Mm-hmm.
guy, he was saying when they inject you, it injects you with like an egg that hatches, right? And this
Mm-hmm.
is like another common thing that, like, and the tentacle things, and they control inside, and they enter. Like, it was crazy, dude. The things that he was saying, I'm just like,
It makes
I
no sense, bro.
I'm
The
just like,
things that they talk
why?
about.
I'm like, why do you think this? Like,
Right. And then
what
this is the thing.
evidence is there of this? I don't
Like
trust the
people,
government, but I agree with him. Where is it in the comments there? Where is it?
which one?
G major
G major,
64,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
where he was like, oh, sorry, no, Elihu. It was Elihu. He was like, should you ask your
Elihu, yeah.
friends? Should you listen to your news? No, you should actually doctor. I completely
Mm-hmm.
agree. Go see your GP.
Facts.
Right? They will
Facts.
tell you whether or not what is suited for you, what you should do, etc. Trust, like, you got to trust somebody at the end of the day. Like, yeah. Anyway,
No,
but yeah,
and I agree with
there's
you
craziness out
100%,
there, man.
because that's what happened with Danny, right? Danny was like me. Danny was like, oh, I'm not getting the vaccine. I'm not getting like, you know what Danny did? Danny talked to someone in the field, and the person in
Yeah.
the field told Danny, like, listen, like, black people are dying from this thing at a high rate. So yes, take the vaccine. And Danny ended up getting vaccinated. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And it's not like, I think it's because it's a high rate only because there's a distrust when it comes to the medical fields from like the culture because of what happened, man.
right,
Like, and I
exactly.
get that. I can like given history, I can
Mm-hmm.
understand it, but also I agree. Go talk to a medical person in the field. Talk to
Mm-hmm.
somebody in the field that you trust or whatever to tell you what's going on, because they know. It's like I go to it like you go to a physicist to learn about physics and to like to see what's going on with the universe or whatever. You listen to astrophysicists like Neil deGrasse Tyson or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
With medical science, you go to virologists, you go to immunologists for this. Immunology.
Yes.
That's who you listen to, not people on YouTube who are like, I'm an evolutionary biologist. No, you talk to
Right.
virologists, people in the actual field of viruses and containing them. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
that's who you listen to. Like it's crazy to me that people like it's like listening to someone. It's like going to like listen to somebody who wants to talk about astrophysics, but they've got no degree in it. Like it's just it's
I
stupid.
agree 100%. And another thing that I wanted, because we both have healthcare systems, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And
Universal healthcare.
and for some reasons, Americans always talk about the bullshit. Oh no, the healthcare system in Canada is messed up. You have to. No, I can go to any fucking doctor anywhere I want to. And people are like, well, you have to wait like hours. Okay.
Nope.
Sometimes you do. Like,
Do you? I
yeah,
don't
like,
like so like you we have a booking system. So like I
okay.
can go on my phone right now and I can book my GP. I can
Mhm.
see like this is like it's really he set it up. Some GPs are different. You have to call the office or whatever to make an appointment. But we make an appointment. We don't just line up at the door. So what we can do is we can book an appointment if they're free and we go in and see them at that time.
Got you. See, with us, especially in like in this emergency, you just go straight to the emergency room, right? So
Oh
one
yeah,
time,
ERs, man. They say that on the
yeah,
phone to you. They're like, if this is an emergency, hang up
yeah,
and call the 000, which is our emergency number. Like,
right,
yeah,
right. So I
yeah,
went to the emergency room because I had to get stitches. You know what I mean? And because it wasn't like a major case, you're waiting, right? Do people have priorities? They're coming before you. So I went
yeah.
there at like maybe 12 a.m., 12 at night, and I didn't leave till like 6 in the morning, right? That's fine. Listen, I would rather stay in a hospital and wait there for 12 hours than to come out of there in an hour and have a $10,000 bill to my name.
Facts,
You
facts.
know what I
Especially
mean?
like an ambulance. I've heard in some states of America it costs $7,000 for the ambulance man to come
That's
get you.
crazy. Here's
I'm
50
like,
bucks.
it's not even that. For me, it's not that. They come and get me. I go to the thing. I pay a Medicare levy, my dude. That's what I do. Every
Mm-hmm.
year at tax time, I pay a Medicare levy that is used. It's set us. Everyone pays a Medicare levy here who pays tax, and it goes into subsidizing universal health care for the country. That's what happens.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's socialism. It's redistribution of wealth. Sorry, guys, but guess what? I don't have to sell a house in order to not die, like some people in some
Right.
states of America.
Exactly.
Like
And you
I don't
know,
have to go into financial destitution to live. Like
facts.
ridiculous.
Worrying about going to the hospital if you have insurance. You see, and the reason why America will never get health care is because it takes away from those insurance. You know what I
Insurance
mean?
companies. And we have
Yes,
private insurance.
exactly.
We can opt in to get private insurance
Here
and we
too.
pay
Yes.
less Medicare levy at our
Yes.
tax time, depending, and sometimes none at all, depending on how much we're paying into the private health. Because we're
Mm-hmm.
not, because the government is encouraging that actually to go into private healthcare to alleviate the Medicare
Right.
levy. Right. So when you go into that, it alleviates for you, and you're paying privately into a private, and you get to private hospital, and you get the benefits of that, which is
Mm-hmm.
the choice of hospital, the choice of doctor, the choice of like when you get to go in for surgeries, elective surgeries, all those things, right? Aren't
Mm-hmm.
subsidized by the government. Elective surgeries aren't subsidized by the government here. So like, unless it's like, there's certain ones that pass and muster, but like getting breast implants, that's nothing. That's
Right.
not,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
all
Same
those
here.
things, you private healthcare. So there is a thing to that, but you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
You can opt into it if you're
Mm-hmm.
like if you're you want to and you're able, you can do it. And they've made an incentive that you pay a lot less if you get into private health before you're 30 in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
They brought that in a couple of years ago. So they've given that incentive as well. But yeah, and so man, the stuff that people said, like it costs $5,000 to have a baby or something, someone told me, and I was just like, are you joking? Like
Right.
here, I'll tell you what happens, right? Because I've been through
Mm-hmm.
the process. You go to the public hospital, you booked in with a midwife that takes
Yep.
you from when you first child, this is, you get into a midwifery program, and they have a midwife from the start all the way through who actually does the birth with you. A doctor doesn't come in unless there's complications.
Exactly.
Right?
Same here.
That's all subsidized by by Medicare, by our universal healthcare. So like,
same here, bro.
Yeah.
Same here. To think you got to pay to have a baby, that is fucking crazy.
I
You
know,
what
it's
I mean?
crazy, man. Like, because 18 years, they're adding to the industry. Like, in
Right.
18 years, suppose it, like, you know, hypothetically, hopefully, they're adding to the workforce. So
Right.
it's like it's an investment by the government and you as a person into the country, because they're going to benefit later on. That's the same reason why they do universal education here. Like,
Same
university,
here.
it's not class based. There is no Harvard. There is no, you need to do extracurricular activities to get into these high elite schools, which is just classism. That's literally what it is. It's classism. And you don't have to do any of that. You just need to get the grades, and you can apply to any university.
Same here.
Dude, as an adult, I can apply and do distance education through a university in Australia right now and get a degree while I'm working.
Yes. Same here.
And I 100%. Can pay for that. Once I finish it, I pay the HEX debt, which is what it's called, right? And that is the loan the government gives you, and you only pay that back once you earn a certain amount in the chosen degree field that you've got. So it's not actually free university, right? As what is his name? As Bernie Sanders with universal healthcare. No, it's not like what he said, right? It is actually, they give you a loan, you pay that back to the government once you finish your degree and get a job. Like, it's very simple exchange.
Same here. We have all kinds of, like, for adults that want to get back into school, there's all kinds of programs where they'll pay you to go back to school. They will pay your rent. They will subsidize you. You got food and everything like that. So they do a lot of things to help people get back into that force, right? But when you're like coming out of high school and you're going to fucking college, we call CJEP up here, right? We're not paying these $10,000s of dollars tuitions. You buy your books, you have a little tuition.
That's right.
And that's it.
That's the only thing that comes out of pocket. That's the only initial cost out of pocket is the books for your course.
Yeah, that's it. Now, some of the books are expensive, like $100 and shit. But at the end of the day, like,
you can resell them for like 50% on the dollar, like at the end. Yeah.
And I'm not fucking spending $100K to go to school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And then not only that, a lot of these people that are going to schools are going on scholarships and stuff like that, right? So let's say you're in like NCAA or football, whatever. It's fine, you get the scholarship, but they don't give you money to fucking eat, bro. You know what I mean? You gotta fucking survive for yourself. You got the scholarship to get the education, but when it comes to your living expenses, and they frowned on those athletes getting money and doing shit like that. So it's fucked up, man. But
yeah, we have a different thing here because there's not really, I don't know of any, like, there's not really scholarships here, like sports scholarships, because it's not a big, that's not a big thing here. We get education scholarships, that's for sure. Like, if you do really well, you can sometimes get a pass and you get a scholarship into like your chosen field, into into university. It just really depends on like where you're at. So yeah.
Same here. Like we have a couple of sports scholarships, hockey, stuff like that, and Olympics and stuff like that. But other than that, bro, like if you want to get somewhere in sports, you got to go to the States anyways. Right?
Yeah. Well, that, or you got to train really hard. You do the Olympic run. Basically, you do the Olympics thing, which is like get up at 5 a.m., swim or whatever you're doing, smash it out. Then you got to go do school. Like, so yeah.
So there was another thing, and I'm not sure if I got it right. I remember there was a few people that talked about it where they were saying that you guys in Australia had this app on your phone, and that if you didn't have that, you want to talk about that one?
Let's talk about the app. Okay, so I got the app. I can show you on the phone right now. So the app here, different states have different apps. Okay, so I've got. They call it the check-in app for Queensland. Okay. So what this does, the whole point of this. Okay. Now, I'm going to cover off some stuff first, but after this. But the whole point of this is you have these QR codes around on stores. Okay. What you do is before you go in the store, You scan the code and you say your name that you're checking in. You go check in, boom, right? You go into the store, you do your thing, you leave, right? The idea of this is if there is a community case that happens and they went to that store that you were in, right? And there are 500 people that went to that store that day, they can check that and they can give you an alert and go, hey, you were at a hot spot. Please quarantine and go get a test. That's the point of the app. Okay? Now, what they're doing is they're going to put in here your COVID vaccination status. They're working it into the app
passport,
so you can show it. Because what's happening now is in Queensland, currently in the state, they have given rights to, like, now in emergency cases in medical fields, you can go and see someone who's going to pass away or stuff like that. And I'll give all those caveats first, right? In emergency cases. But what they're doing is they're allowing businesses to basically check that you have a vaccination status before you can enter the premises. Okay? Because they're going with no masks. So in order to protect the people inside, and we can have an argument about vaccination versus vaccinated, but in order to, like, make sure, unvaccinated people aren't coming in, they're going to work that into the app. That's what we've learned this last week in Queensland itself. Now, they're tracking you. They're tracking your movements.
Right.
This tracks your movements every day.
Exactly.
Every day.
100%.
Doesn't matter if you have the GPS turned off. Doesn't matter if you have the data turned off. That's why in the shows, that's why they sealed it. So you can't take the back cover off and take your chip out and stuff like that anymore. Or your battery, I should say. Because as long as the battery is in this phone, even if you turn it off, they can track you. And in Queensland, I will tell you this, in Queensland, they passed a law a couple of years ago, anti-terrorism law, where they can turn on the phone and mic of anybody's phone in Queensland, even if they suspect you're a terrorist. They don't need a warrant. Okay? So they're already tracking.
Facts.
And we can have an argument about whether that's right or wrong according to, American Constitution status. We don't have the same Constitution. We don't have a Bill of Rights here. You Americans are lucky in that, but you're also unlucky in that because look what's happening with this pandemic. So like that's the control factor people are so scared of with this app, but that's the idea of the app. The app is there so that they can track and see if there is a case, they can track that and see where everyone that has been at that store can quarantine, and they don't need to worry about it. They can just go, oh, yeah, send an alert out and go, everyone that was at this store, please stay home, go get tested when you can, and they can basically track that cluster from the outbreak. That's the idea of that app, right? It won't really mean anything in like a month or so's time, I don't think, because we're going to have an influx of infected people and it's going to happen, right? We're going to get the outbreaks or whatever. But on that though, as well, I will say, on the flip side of that, this is the greatest, like the fact that all these states did it in Australia, this is the greatest source of metadata ever collected in Australia, right? And the government needs to make sure that stuff is secure, because if they have a quote unquote hack, this is like the most valuable, because they have where everybody in Australia that uses the app, because you don't have to. There are parts where I haven't QR scanned before. I've just walked in and I'm just doing quick. I've got the mask on. I'm not worried about it. But this is like this is where like this is the greatest like metadata like collection in history for Australia. Like if this data got out, it's very valuable, this data, because they can say they know where everyone shops, they know where everyone they know all that stuff, right? But then again, they already know that because Google tracks all of your online purchases. So like they
and
still
if you got
know
credit
that
cards,
yep, credit
you know
card.
what I mean?
That was the original mark of the beast, unquote. So come on, guys. Like they had the Australia card that was passports were a mark of the beast. Everything through history, these conspiracy theorists have gone, this is the mark of the beast, this is government control. I'm like, this dates back to ancient history, the government control people. Like this is they do this. This is what they govern through control. Like yeah.
And it's the same thing here, right? We don't have the app yet, or I think it's in the works. But before they did the passport, if I went to a restaurant, you had to write your name, your number, right? Because they had to know that if someone came in there and got caught, they had to be able to contact you. I have no problems with that. You know what I mean? It's keeping people safe.
It's just more efficient. It's just more effective. It's more efficient because they can send an alert out to everyone that was at that store and go, bing, please stay at home, self-quarantine until you can get a test. Like,
Exactly.
it's that simple.
So here's Mr. Chen. Australia is a police state. I live in Queensland. Go ahead, Paul.
I live in Queensland too. I just walked out today. I went and got some groceries with my dad. I got this Coke. I was wearing a mask. I got this gum as well, and I wasn't wearing a mask. And there was no police ready to put me into the ground for not being in my house.
Right.
So,
And you guys need to explain what you think is a police state, right? Do you think
dude.
protecting people is a police state?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what I'm saying.
No, that's not true. Because I didn't get checked. If they didn't check my vaccination status, they didn't check anybody vaccinated. I went to Aldi today and like walked around with Dad. I was looking at stuff, like seeing what Christmas stuff they had. I went to physio this morning. They didn't check my vaccination status. Maybe that comes in the future, right? I was just talking about that earlier, that they're gonna put it into the app that you have to show to and private businesses. I'm sorry, this is a freedom, right?
Right.
Private businesses have a right to discriminate on any basis that isn't racial, right, or cultural, right? They can discriminate for their patrons to keep them safe. If someone has a flu or looks like they got a flu, the restaurant isn't going to let you in because you're going to infect all their patrons, right? This is truth. This is a universal truth. They have a right. Private businesses have a right, okay? And government have a duty, a fiduciary duty to protect their citizens.
I agree.
Right? And right now, it's through I'm going to say it, it's through a safe and effective vaccine currently. Okay? And there's Novavax coming for people that prefer, in Australia, this is people that prefer, people that prefer a more traditional vaccination, which is like the flu. They're going to, in here in Australia, they're looking at rolling into the annual flu shot that people get. So and if they were going to inject stuff into people, wouldn't they be doing it with the flu shot all these years?
A long time ago, bro. H1N1, all that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many times? How many times?
The whooping cough vaccine they give to kids? They give it to the mother while the kid's in utero.
Right.
And they give it to them at 6 months, 12 months.
Yes.
This is an infant they're giving a shot to for whooping cough to make sure it doesn't die. Like, I'm just, that's a proven effect. How is it proven and effective? Oh, that's right. They put it into production. They trialed it. They tested it. They did like a bunch of trials with a bunch of different people. Then they approved it. Then they rolled it out to the public. And then the public chose whether they wanted to get it or not.
And he said, first off,
this vaccine.
Let me answer this. Why is there an American flag in the background? Because we're debunking the stuff that Americans say about our countries, right? Yeah. So Mr. Chen said, you can walk around, but you can't do normal life things. Police are throwing people to the ground for protesting.
They were protesting. Hang on. They were protesting outside Queensland Parliament last week. You could hear our premier was addressing. A premier is like our governor for Americans. Our premier was addressing the parliament, and you could hear them protesting outside. They weren't being thrown to the streets. They peacefully protest. In our constitution, you have a right to, you don't have freedom of assembly. What you have to do is you have a right to peacefully protest as long as it's not harming anybody else. That's what our constitution actually says. I read it last week because I was curious, right? As long as it's not harming anybody, as long as you're peacefully protesting, that's all that matters. Okay.
Right.
And they were doing it last week in Queensland. No one was got arrested from that protest because they were peacefully protesting. They were just chanting outside of Parliament.
Right. And
he's talking about Melbourne and in Victoria, those I'm going to get into this now. Those idiots in Victoria, right? Now, a part of me has compassion because they've been basically in lockdown for a year now since this outbreak happened because some fool let it out of the hotel quarantine. Okay. Down there, multiple people were sources of thing, and it raged across the state, the Delta variant. Those people are not peacefully protesting. They're inciting police into and they're going into no-go zones. They're not obeying mandated laws to lock down and stay inside. They're not wearing masks. They're infecting other people, right? These people are the reason why Victoria is still in the state that it's currently in. And yeah, they have been doing stupid things, so the police are going to throw them to the ground. They're going to shoot them with rubber bullets. They're going to put tear gas into the crowds to disperse them. This is just a truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to let them enter parts of the city to infect other people.
Right.
That's just what's happening down there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And my freedoms. Okay, but if you stayed in lockdown, like Queensland did, you would have your freedoms right now, like I do.
Right.
Like it's just like really that simple.
Bro, they had a curfew. People were like, oh, you guys are locked down at 8 o'clock. And they're making jokes because the virus doesn't affect people after a certain time. It's like, that's not the point. The point is to keep people off the streets, to keep the fucking social distancing at a fucking bay. That way they can at least try to contain the virus. I had no problems with it. I didn't do shit anyways. You know what I mean? So, hey, I'm usually home all the time. So being locked down for me was no fucking issue. I could still go outside during the day, right? There was nothing that's stopping me from going outside or going to a supermarket or going here and going there. There's nothing stopping me from doing that. The only thing is at 8 o'clock, you had to be in the house. I was cool with that. I was cool with that. So Mr. Chen said, no one's saying they're going door to door sticking people with needles, but they made living an enjoyable life impossible, and our rights to protest have been violently stomped on. So how are they stopping you from having an enjoyable life? This is what I'm saying.
Like, because you had to wear a mask? Like,
you know what I mean? Like,
what?
I couldn't go to parties, right? Like when they put this passport stuff in effect, I couldn't go to parties. But me and my girl were going out to the old port, chilling out, drinking out there outside. It was nice. We didn't need to fucking be in a club or in a bar, right? And like I was saying about protesting, the bar members here, they want their bars to be open, right? A lot of things have opened up in Canada, but it's still after 12, things shut down. And a lot of these lounges and dance clubs, they want to be able to open up to people, right? Especially if you're vaccinated. So what they did is they had a protest on the street a couple weeks ago. There was no fucking, oh my God, neo-Nazi, let's gotta shut this shit down shit, which is what that stupid ass John keeps saying. And I'm just like, man, if you've never been to Canada, you cannot tell us what it's like to live here. And then there was another stream, and it was kind of like some of the things you said. It was Culture Casinos talking about, yeah, people are leaving Canada in flocks. Like, no, we're not. No, we're not.
No one's doing that. Here we go. Just share that for a moment. I'm going to debunk some stuff. Quick Google search. CDC COVID-19 study. Peer-reviewed study shows mRNA vaccines reduce risk of infection by 91% for fully vaccinated people. Vaccination makes illness milder, shorter. For vaccinated people who do get COVID-19. Now, I want to say something on this as well. Yesterday, 2 days ago, actually, there was a peer-reviewed study that was conducted in Australia on the long COVID effects, right? 6 months on in the elderly and people. They found long-term disabilities in breathing, in movement, because of what COVID-19 did. Now, because the common I'm sorry, I'm going to call them out. The common conservative trend is, the death rate isn't as much as the flu, right? But also COVID has long-term effects. Some things are worse than death. I'm sorry. And like we found that out in a study that was released 2 days ago, where they did a peer-reviewed study in multiple people who had done it age 51 to 70, who had long-term COVID effects because of the virus rampaging through their system. Plus, you get it twice. There's X-rays on the internet. You can go look them up, right? Of people's lungs who look like they were smokers' lungs, and these are perfectly healthy people who got COVID, and it's left them with burned lungs, right? Permanent lung damage. Okay, this is long-term effects of COVID. Let's not pretend that there isn't issues and side effects that come with this. Now, the vaccine has proven, I'm going to say it, and it's true, it is now, there are studies released that there is proven lower transmission rates and also lower effects from COVID when you get it as a vaccinated person.
Yes, that is correct.
All right. This is just how it is. Now, it may not be convenient for the people on the ground that want to pretend. I'm not saying Enzo is one of these people, but I'm saying the people that want to pretend that the vaccine is like some poison or something that you shove in your arm. Like, it's not convenient truths, but it's an inconvenient truth that people need to actually address. Like,
Yeah.
this is a proven, effective vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
And
yeah, you need to get in a shot to do it. They've also released studies, peer-reviewed studies, that this is the other thing I want to commit to, that self-immunity or like herd immunity or whatever it is without the vaccine to help you is not as long-term effective as the vaccine is. The vaccine
that is correct.
lasts up to 6 to 7 months, whereas
Mm-hmm.
whereas self-immunity from getting it once is not as effective as that. This is
Mm-hmm.
just like any other virus, right?
And
Yes,
Ashley
you can
has
get.
said that
Yes,
many times to
yeah,
us.
and I want to say
Mm-hmm.
this too. You're vaccinated. It doesn't mean you're immune. People need to
Right.
learn definitions
Yes.
of words. Now, the
Yes.
government has, I'm going to say, the government has played its role in saying you're safe if you get this, right?
Thanks,
No,
Vosh.
it allows you to have less viral transmission. It gives you less symptoms so that you don't pass it on. So, like the symptoms are like sneezing or whatever. You're not sneezing the virus out as long as someone who is that is unvaccinated. These are proven studies that prove this. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now you're gonna, and vaccination does not mean immune. It
Right.
means vaccinated. You can be vaccinated against hepatitis C, right?
Mm-hmm.
It means you can fight hepatitis C better
Yes.
than other people who are not vaccinated against hepatitis C.
Mm-hmm.
And you get 3 shots for hepatitis C.
Mm-hmm.
3. Just like you're going to get a 3rd shot, not a booster, a 3rd shot if you're mRNA vaccinated for this. Okay?
And it's the same thing with the flu shot. You know what I mean? And the flu
Yep.
shot's totally different because they actually give you the flu virus, right? But you can still catch the fucking flu. It just stops the effects from being as strong as it would be if you weren't vaccinated.
There's so many facts out on there too. Did you know that the rate that blood clotting from the pill is astronomically higher than the blood clots from AstraZeneca?
Really?
Astronomically higher. And they prescribe it every day for women.
Yes.
That's the risk that women take. That's the risk of taking a medicine, okay?
Yes.
You're going to get side effects from a vaccine. This is known throughout history. The simple vaccine of measles, mumps, and rubella, right? That is a simple vaccine. There are side effects. When I was 15 and we went to Malaysia with my dad and the RAF, I had to get a bunch of vaccines. I had a big flare up against hepatitis A. My arm felt like it was a solid rock for like 2 days because of that vaccination. That's, unfortunately, there's a side effect to getting a live virus. Sorry, a dead version of that virus injected in you, which is a traditional vaccine. mRNA doesn't do that, right? mRNA doesn't enter the nucleus of the cell. I can't believe I have to say this. This is like, you can just literally Google mRNA vaccine that tells you what it does. Oh, but you have to trust the scientific community. If you don't trust the scientific community, who do you trust then? And why do you trust Novavax, which is a traditional vaccine, if you don't trust the scientific community? It makes no logical sense. Either you trust them completely, or you don't trust them at all, and you don't get any vaccine at all, and you just roll the dice, right? It's fine. And that's your choice. And Australians have that choice, except if you work in the health industry or a private business that mandates it, which is their right as an employer to mandate it. If you have a choice to work there or not work there, that's the right of a private business. That's how it works. Even in America, that's the right of a private business.
And they did the same thing here, right? For our health workers, they were demanding that they get vaccinated, right? But what happened is a lot of the health workers didn't want to do it, right? And they can't fire everybody. So they said they got rid of it. It's like, okay, for new people coming in, you need to be vaccinated. But the ones that work here, if you guys don't want to do it, that is your choice not to do it, right? Because they can't fire everybody.
No, they can't fire everybody. Yeah.
And even though I haven't taken it, it's not because I'm an anti-vaxxer or anything like that. I just don't want to do it. That's it. It's just plain and simple. When the H1N1 came out and people were getting their vaccination, I didn't want to do it then either. I did it because my son and his mother did it. And I said, okay, if you guys are going to do it, then I got it. But this one,
highlight that walk hard comment. We'll hit this one on the head too, right?
Cool.
Okay, cool. Vaccines have a 94% efficacy, so 6% of those vaccinated are at risk of long-term effects or death. We changed the whole word for that. All right. So here's where the rub is right with this. In that 6% are elderly people, obese people, people with comorbidities, right? People that have families. People that
Mhm.
deserve the right to choose if they need to be that they want to be vaccinated or not before the virus hits them. And this is something important with Queensland, right? That's what we've had over the last few months. That's why there's been a push for us to get vaccinated in Queensland, because we've had zero cases in the community. So the government's going, hey guys, now's the chance to get vaccinated, right? Before the virus comes. Okay? So get yourself and your family members who are vulnerable vaccinated. That to stop the long-term effects, to stop the virus from rampaging through a system that is like immune compromised or whatever. That's what it's about. It's actually about protecting the people that are not as fortunate as a healthy member of society like myself or whatever. Like that's what it's actually about. Okay. And the other thing about masks is it's not protecting other people to wear your mask. It's it's not protecting yourself to wear a mask. It's protecting other
People, right?
The mask actually stops you from spreading it. That's what the whole point of the mask is. People don't understand that because they haven't done any basic research. This is all available by a Google search. It's really simple stuff, right? But people don't understand this, right? And yeah, it has an 85% thing of getting through, but the whole point of it is to stop you from transmitting it to other people.
Exactly. And he put preaching health and swigging cola. Hey, you're damn right I'm drinking some fucking cola. Paul, he got his there too. But we're not preaching health. We are preaching facts. This is what we're preaching here, guys.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying
I'm not a proponent of like, oh, I'm the healthiest man in the world. I'm not
you
saying
know what I mean?
I'm saying safe, effective. This is the facts of the vaccine. Like that's what I'm saying.
Right. And this is what we're talking about. So yeah, hey, I can tell you, I had some fucking KFC for supper today.
Yeah. Well, I'm not talking about you, man. I'm talking about vulnerable people in society, like elderly people who are dying. The whole this doesn't affect people. Oh, the death rate is not high. CDC released the stats earlier, I think a month back. 1 in 5 Americans die. The average lifespan of America has dropped significantly. Go look up those stats.
Yep.
They're available for the public. 1 in 5 Americans are dead from COVID or comorbidities because of now. And there's the argument too. Oh, it's not COVID that caused the death. It was because they're obese or they're diabetic or whatever. Okay, here's the argument for you. Someone catches HIV, right? They develop AIDS. They get a cold and die. What did they die of? The cold. Sure, because they have no immune system, because of the AIDS. So this is what COVID does. It affects you, right? And you might have a heart condition or a lung condition or whatever it's going on inside of your body, and the COVID just stresses the body another way, and so you die. What caused your death? You would have gone on living maybe 6 more years, 10 more years, but what caused the death? Oh, you caught COVID. That's what caused the death. This is the facts. People need to understand this, that the death rate is due to COVID entering the body.
That is correct.
That's what they mean by comorbidities, man. That's what they mean by that. It means, oh, there's a secondary condition like that they had, right? Or a primary condition that they had. COVID was introduced to their body and they died. That's what happens. Like this is where it's at. This is why the flu is different. Well, the death rate was way higher than with the flu. I'm like, do you know the flu has virtually been eradicated this year because of hygiene and because of the mask?
And yes, you can say those numbers that more people died of the flu, but the flu wasn't as contagious as this virus was, man.
No,
this shit went bananas. Right.
Yeah.
So
I think I had the flu once in 5 years.
Right. Absolutely. 100%. And then I wanted to show this picture because, we're talking about people who have died and stuff like that. This was a guy that I grew up with. Right. He's like either my age or a little bit younger. He died of COVID a couple days ago. You know what I mean? I don't know if he had any health issues or anything like that, but this is the point. This is why people need to get vaccinated. Some of them do, right? Maybe I do as well. I don't know if I have any underlying health issues. I don't know if I catch it, like, will I survive? but I'm protecting myself from it. Like, you better believe that. If they say wash your fucking hands every day when you come in this from the store, I'm washing my hands. I'm wearing my mask. This is what I have to do. If that's the case, I will do it, because at the end of the day, it doesn't just protect me, it protects the people that are around me too. And if my parents were alive, I can 100% promise you I would have been vaccinated. There is no doubt about it. I would have never let my parents leave the house to do anything.
Walk hard. You wanted a peer review study. I just Googled. Always put in the Google. mRNA vaccine reduces transmission, peer reviewed. This one. COVID-19, Pfizer BioNTech vaccine reduces cases by 94% in Israel, shows peer reviewed study. You can go through all the metrics yourself, but this is, look at this.
It's all there. Like, the facts are all there online. Yes.
It's Google, man. Just Google it. There's multiple peer-reviewed studies. Dude, there's multiple peer reviews showing the efficacy, that this is a safe and effective vaccine. I hate to parrot the government, but that's literally what it is. You can still choose not to take it.
Right.
As well. Everyone can choose not to take it, as long as you're not in a government a healthcare position, right? Or because the government has a fiduciary duty that their government employees are vaccinated. That's just how it is. Or a private company that mandates it. The end.
Facts. And this is the thing, right? Yes, you have, if you want to do certain things, you have to be vaccinated. Passport. If I want to go to movies, I need to be vaccinated. But if I want to drive, I need a license. You know what I mean? I can't.
This is a great argument. So personal liberties. So there's also such thing as negative liberties. So you have the right to drive a car. You don't have a right to drive the car drunk.
Right.
So the government limits your liberties there, because
you
should be able to get in the car drunk, but then you're putting other people at risk.
Yes,
when you get in the car drunk. Yes. That's what you're doing when you go into a thing and you have a higher viral load because you're unvaccinated. This is just how it is. The science is there. Go Google it. It's fine. Just go look it up. There's multiple peer-reviewed studies on this.
Facts. And this is the thing, right? And I think a lot of people will see this information, but then go listen to a YouTuber who says some bullshit, and they'll be like, yeah, the YouTuber is right. He's right. That information is bullshit. And I'm just like, listen, you guys need to know where to get your fact. That's why we always talk about critical thinking. You know what I mean? Think for yourself. You know, that's what it is. Stop following all this fucking bullshit.
Well, that's what they say. That's the conservative toe line too. It seems, sorry, it just seems to be in the conservative people, but like they say, do your own research. Well, I did my own research. I researched what mRNA did on multiple occasions. I researched the efficacy of it. Then I chose to take it. Then the government mandated it for my department, and I already had it. So
exactly,
it's just it's really simple stuff. So
doesn't get no easier than that, guys. You know what I mean? And like I said, all this stuff about Nazi Canada and Australia being in a police state, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit, because you have people who have never been to Canada talking about Canada as a Nazi fucking state. I'm like, really? How? You've never been here. What makes Canada Nazi Canada? Please explain that. Because if I'm not mistaken, when you're talking about Nazis and shit, you're talking about people in camps and shit. And that's what John said. He was like, oh, you guys accept being put in camps. Who the fuck is being put in camps? Who's being put in camps? Please come show me where there's a Nazi camp in Canada. I would love to see that. I really would. You know, I'd love to see the numbers where people are talking about, oh, people from Canada are leaving all the time and they want to come over here. I'd like to see the numbers on that. Because bullshit. Because I know I'm not leaving healthcare for no healthcare. I'm not doing that. So
yeah. That's stupid. And this is the thing, like, I don't understand it. Like, and then also, like, the do your own research thing, it's like, it's really simple. Yeah, see, that's something that for you, I suppose, for other people to address. I can't address that.
Hmm. And I agree with you, Peter, 100%. If you have skepticism, whatever the word is I'm trying to say, if you're skeptical of taking it, I completely understand. We know what they've done to our people. You know what I mean?
Yes,
We
I'll agree
know
with
they've
that.
experimented on us. So I
Not
have
just that,
no
man. The
issues.
First Nation, like you go
Yes,
in for like a flu checkup or whatever back in the day,
they
and they
give
give
you
them a
syphilis
hysterectomy, or
and
syphilis, or a
syphilis. Yes,
hysterectomy. Man, they used
right.
to like give women hysterectomies to wipe them out. It's disgusting. Like I understand
Hmm.
that.
Hmm. 100%. And
America is the greatest country in the world. I'll
that's
give
what
you
you
this.
guys want us to
I'll give
think.
you this. You have the two. You have the two most important rules in the world: the First and Second Amendment.
Yes.
That's something that no one else in the world has. No one
Hmm.
has the First Amendment, and no one has the Second Amendment to protect the first.
Right.
And I'll agree. That's something that I wish that was here in
Hmm.
Australia. I wish that we had the guaranteed right to free speech, but we don't.
Facts. Facts. Same here. I mean, we do, right? But at the end of the day, it's not like,
Well, depends on when they can
yeah,
change the law tomorrow, man. They put in like a whole section C to
right.
protect a certain community from
Hmm.
dead naming and all that sort of stuff, man. So
Yes.
they have curtailed your speach, like, and you
Yes.
can be put in prison for
For
not
saying
speaking a
same shit.
certain
Yeah.
way.
Hmm.
Yeah, which is I think is just a bad road. Like,
Hmm. I agree with
that's
you.
a bad road. Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. And
Actually,
and
Peter, Australia would be owned by Japan because in the Second World War, no, it's the next one down. In the
okay.
Second World War, in the Pacific, right? When America got involved in the war, that's who fought alongside us in the Pacific against the Japanese. So
Hmm.
technically, in World War II, yes, they were bombing Darwin. So we owe a lot of the Pacific War to America.
Right.
That's,
And
that's a
I'm
fact.
not saying like a lot of the countries maybe owe something to America at the end of the
It's not
day.
like
And
it's like
right.
it's not a debt.
Best
It's
interests.
we fought alongside against an axis of evil.
Right.
Like
And
we
it
fought
was
for
it.
freedom together. Like our
Yes.
soldiers bled and died next to each other on the field of battle for freedom.
Right. And it's because
Right.
it was
So
in
there's a
America's
camaraderie
best
there.
interest as well,
Yeah.
right? If it wasn't in America's best interest, believe me, they would have stayed out of it. You know what I mean? But because it was in their interest, they're gonna jump into it as well.
Again,
It's
China wouldn't be taking us over right now. They're more interested in Taiwan, and also we have Japan. We're allied with Japan currently,
Mhm.
and we're also allied with the Philippines and with Indonesia and India and South Korea. Like, so there's a lot of countries to get through before China comes and knocks on our door. And I guarantee America will be involved before then. So will the British.
right. Absolutely. And we already know how Americans feel about Asians, right? So they ain't gonna let them take over nothing. Trust me.
We
Yeah,
also
fuck
have
that.
like
I said
we
it.
also have like a high Asian population here, man, because
Mhm.
that's our immigration. Like
Right.
our immigrants are all from Australasia,
Hmm.
right? So we have a high Asian population here. So
Same here.
yeah, and Muslim. So like
Hmm.
there's a fair bit of immigration from and South African, or I should say
Hmm.
Afrikaans. A lot of white South Africans who
Right.
fled that country because of what happened there recently. Um, they come to Australia or America.
Hmm. And
Um,
even here,
so
like
yeah,
fucking Canada's like a melting pot for nationalities, man. We have
yeah, yeah.
everything over here, guys.
In
Like it's
Sydney, they have like a map, and it's like all the different communities that live in the
yes.
Sydney area.
Hmm.
There's like Muslims,
Hmm.
China.
Yep.
There's Indonesians. There's Middle Easterns, like Eastern like heritage. There's
Hmm.
Afrikaans people who have moved about, like in Queensland. There's a whole bunch of them around in the east coast of Queensland. Like,
Facts.
so like we're a melting pot of like different cultures. So
Hmm.
it's not like I don't know. It's not like what it was back then. But yeah, no, I would say like Japan was bombing Darwin. So yeah, we owe a lot to America getting involved in the Pacific War, especially by the sea, right?
Hmm.
But again, it's not like a debt because our soldiers fought alongside you guys.
Right.
There's an honor in that because we
Hmm.
fought for freedom. We fought the world for the world's freedom. It was a world war, and we're
Yes.
fighting for the freedom that everyone enjoys currently
Facts.
in the
Facts.
West. and inside in the countries that are there, right there as well, in the
Mm-hmm.
middle between where they were, the places that were conquered by Germany in Europe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we owe a lot to but it's like that's why we have a treaty. That's why we got involved in Afghanistan.
Right. And America has that saying, land of the free. But is it really free over there? You know what I mean? Like,
Wait, isn't
is it
that Rage
really
Against the
free?
Machine line? Isn't that the Rage
Yeah.
Against the Machine? It said with the land of the free, whoever tells you that is your enemy. Like
Right.
that's a Rage Against the Machine line.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't care. Like, I love living here in Canada. I don't care what anybody has to say about it, right? It's diverse. We have racism here, of course. You have racism everywhere, but it's not as bad as it is in the States. Never. I can never understand. Like, I can sit there and say, yeah, as a black man, I know what racism is, but I can never understand to the degree that it is in America. I have never had to tell my kid that he had to watch out for the cops because they might kill him. I never had to tell him that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know, I'm not experienced in it, so I can't really speak to like Aboriginal affairs. But what I can say is that in our games and stuff, we have like Aboriginal play week where everyone has like an Aboriginal Guernsey that they have for that week.
mm-hmm.
They celebrate Aboriginals in the game of the NRL. Before the grand final, they have like an Aboriginal ceremony where they talk about the land that they're playing on. And I think they do it in every single game now. They have like a member of the community, an elder from the community comes out on stage. I showed Jess this when I was showing her the grand final. And I was like, they came out on stage, they did a full, like they were in full traditional dress. They were playing the didgeridoos and stuff. And they talked about the land that they were playing on and what the original tribe that owned that land. And they do all of that stuff and they celebrate it all the games. They give they do a speech where they give thanks to past, present, and emerging elders in their community. We celebrate the First Nation people here as much as and that's come a long way. It's not what it was. And that's something where you don't see the whole kneeling for the whole flag and all that sort of stuff. Like that stuff there, they don't sing the national anthem, and a lot of people got upset about that. And it's like it's a whatever thing, man. For me, like I'm just okay. They don't recognize it. It's sad to me because I'm like, we should be more together. But yeah,
facts, 100%. You know, and Mr. Chen, I guess he's coming in with some bullshit. When's the boxing match gonna happen? Hey, listen. I'm gonna say this because I'm gonna defend these guys because I've been streaming with them, right? And I'm gonna say this at first. When I first ever seen MSK on a stream, it was on Sean Stackhouse stream, and he was going at it with the Jody and stuff there. And when I seen that, I was just like, okay, because I seen Jody before that. And as soon as I seen his channel, I was like, no, this dude is not for me. Like, why are you fucking saying the N-word so much times on your stream, bro? Like, you're just loud to me, he was just loud for nothing. That's it, right? And then MSK, I seen him defending them and on Shackhouse, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever, you know. But then MSK broke away. And then MSK reached out to me. And even though I knew him from that, and I didn't know he had broken away from Jody at the time, I still was like, yeah, man, I'm going to come on your stream. I'll give you a chance, right? I'm going to give these people a chance. And I've been there ever since. And these are good people there. You know, we don't agree on everything. We're not supposed to agree on everything. But at the end of the day, I do consider Paul my friend. I do. You know, and I was glad that I was able to give him a little piece of information that helped.
It was apt timing, my dude, because the next week it exactly happened that you said the word, and I was like, there it is. So when the boxing was going to happen, dude, when I come to the States, I got better things to do. I got to hang out with my woman. I'm gonna go to Disneyland. I'm gonna hang out with MSK probably as well. Hopefully, you can get some other people from the community at that time around. I'm gonna box you for charity.
And,
it's just,
and this dude's just blowing smoke. That's all they're doing.
Not just that. Pickle said this, and it's true. When someone has nothing left to say or no facts left to present, they resort to violence.
Yes, and insulting.
And that's what they did. They resorted to lying, insulting, and then he challenged me a boxing match. And I was like, dude, come on, man. But yeah.
And at the end of the day, you guys have always did your streams with facts. You've always put out receipts. You always, so there's nothing they can say about that. So fuck those guys. But that's not what this
Yeah.
shit is about. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
no, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, fuck those guys, man. That's all I'm gonna say on that. But yeah, like I said, man, when it comes down to this stuff, I just want people to understand that sometimes the narrative, and I don't know why people in America do it. Like, I think it's to say, hey guys, look, you live in the best country in the world. Look what's happening in these other countries. And people are eating it up like it's true. You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't want to go to Canada. But if you ever came here, you wouldn't want to leave. You wouldn't want to leave. Like when the summertime in Montreal, we have so many festivals. We have so much like race diverse stuff going on. Jamaica Day, Trinity Day, you know what I mean? We have so much stuff that goes on here. Like, this is why I say when you sit there and you talk about Nazi Canada, no, bro, we get along over here. You know what I mean? We're not hating on people because of the color of the skin. Does it happen? Yes. But is it at an abundance? No. It's because we understand that we're all human. You know what I mean? So when you guys talk those narratives about neo-Nazi Canada, it drives me up a fucking wall because you've never been here. So stop with that shit because there's no neo-Nazi shit here at all. And that's a fact.
And neo-Nazis, they may exist here in Australia, but I've never seen one in my entire existence. Like,
you see what I'm saying?
Like neo-Nazis I've seen in American like movies. That's where I've seen neo-Nazis. Right?
Yes.
I'm sure they exist here. There are racist people in this country. I have no doubt in my mind. Right? But yeah, I have never met one that has blatantly come out and been like, you know, Aboriginals are this or that. Like I've never, you know, all these Chinese, like I've never heard anybody speak like this. And by the way, the Australian culture is very different here, right? You'll have like a first gen Chinese immigrant who speaks like me. Like he there's no accent. He speaks like me, or she speaks like me. And then they'll have jokes, and we'll joke about each other's culture because we don't get into this intersectional you stealing people's culture garbage. Dude, we eat Chinese food. There's like Thai food, there's Indian food. Like everyone just shares here. No one's appropriating culture by making curry. Like it's so America is such a melting pot of like stupidity in some areas. I just don't know how you guys function in the day, to be honest. Like it's such a different culture compared to here, like where we just
Same here.
Everyone pays out everyone in this country. No one is safe. We have a thing here called tall poppy syndrome. And what it means is when someone gets too big or too high for their britches, we come along and we cut the legs out. You go, oh, they're not that great. Yeah, we humble them a bit. That literally everyone gets it. Everyone, it's sledges here. Nothing is off limits.
Facts.
Yeah, it's such a different culture. I don't understand it, man. I had like my mom learned how to make curry, when we were in Malaysia. She learned how to make curry from an actual Indian woman, like traditional curry with the spice and everything. She makes curry all the time. My dad learned how to do it. He makes curry all the time too. Like they're not appropriating culture. They're just making something and celebrating the food because it's good. Like
Facts. You know how many times I made fucking teriyaki beef and shit? You know what I mean? Like, hey, man,
Thai curry is amazing. Like,
it's damn right. You know, so, and that's what I'm saying. Like, even here in Canada, like, it's totally different. Like, America, it seems like they're the center of the universe, right? And whatever happens in America is like, this is where it should be, and everything else in the rest of the world, you guys should watch out for this because this is what they're doing over here. But no, America's great, right? Because you have all kinds of freedoms over here, and you could, when you want to make money, like when you want to become a millionaire and stuff like that, you go to fucking America, hands down. That is the spot to go, right? You want to be an actor, movie star, whatever, that is the place to go, because you can, if you're good at what you do, you can bank over there. And I understand that. But at the end of the day, don't make other countries look bad because, you know, you're trying to prove a point. like with the healthcare. Like I don't understand. Well, I do understand, but I don't understand why at least the American citizens are not like, yo, why the fuck can't we have healthcare? Look at these countries that have healthcare. They are striving. They're not, oh, the things they say, oh, the debt and this and that, and you guys, we wouldn't be able to sustain it. Well, our countries have been
Dude,
staying.
they're like, dude, America is earning like something like 3 trillion in debt every day from like
Mhm.
their deficit that they already have to the world banks. Like,
Yes.
it's like, and
Yes.
that's because of the military industrial complex. If they just took 1 billion out of that, they could
Hmm.
fund universal healthcare for the country. Like, this is
Facts.
like, and this is like a leftist talking point that I'm using. Hey everyone, I'm in the center. I think the conservatives are stupid when they say that
Mhm.
universal healthcare can't happen. And I also think the left is stupid because they go too extreme sometimes and they preach like that they are
Right.
the party for certain populaces in that
Hmm.
country, like, and they haven't done anything in 50 years. So I agree, man. The American people need to like ask some questions of their government.
Facts.
Really,
One.
but
One.
they have, that's the problem. That's what the class thing is about, and that's why there's like this whole racial tension thing going on, because it's the government's like, hey, fight amongst yourselves instead of looking
Hmm.
at the corrupt trash
Instead
we
of
do
looking
every day. Yeah,
one
yeah,
hundred
yeah.
percent, one
It's
hundred
literally
percent.
sewn into the Australian American populace, man.
Divide and conquer, right? And you guys got to understand something. If they brought universal health care, all those pharmaceuticals companies would go out the fucking window. And you know what else would probably happen?
They can't line the pockets of Congress anymore. That's what's happening.
Exactly. And you know
Yeah,
what else would happen? I think if there was a universal healthcare, because America is like groundbreaking with their technology and everything, they might be able to cure some shit. You know what I mean? Because the reason why they don't cure it is because there's
oh,
more money
they
in
make
keeping
money off
people
sick
sick.
people, man. It's
Yes.
same. Wait. This is there's a really basic thing that can prove this. The same treatment for cancer is radiation. That hasn't
Yes.
changed.
Yes.
Why? When they funnel
Exactly.
billions of dollars into research to get rid of cancer, they still use radiation. Why?
And radiation doesn't work, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Unless they
Or it
catch it really early.
reduces tumor
Yeah.
size, but that's it. Like, so they
Yes.
can be cut out or something. But like, it
Hmm.
makes you sick. Like,
Right.
you have to then take drugs to for this
Hmm.
anti radiation meds. Who develops the anti chemo meds? The pharmacy.
Exactly.
It's like a cycle, man. It's so
Yep.
obvious. Like when you just think about it objectively, it's like, why isn't the treatment changed?
Hmm.
It
And
because there's a because it make money. That's
that
why.
makes money, right? And I always said this, right? It's words mean something. So I remember when my mom had cancer when we went to the hospital, right? And the doctor took me by the side. He's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, your mom has cancer, whatever." And I said, okay, so what are her chances, like, of it going away or getting rid of it?" And he was like, "Not that we can't." He said, "We don't cure cancer." He was like, "Oh, we don't cure cancer." And I always found that funny that you said don't instead of can't. You know what I mean? Like, why did you say don't? Maybe I put too much into it, but like I
No,
said,
they have
words mean a
remission.
lot. Right.
They have remission. Remember, you go into
Yes.
remission,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
like it's not gone. It could come back at any time. Like
Anytime. Hmm.
it's like, okay,
Yep, I agree with you
yeah.
100%. And that's why I'm like, why would you say don't? Like, if me, I was like, someone said that, I was like, I'm sorry, we can't cure cancer. I want to say we don't cure cancer, because when you say you don't cure cancer, it means sounds to me like you can, but you're not
Yeah.
going to. You know
But you're
why?
not going to, yeah, because there's money.
There's money. And
Yeah.
hey, and if because they gave my mom 2 months to live, right? And she lasted a year. So can you
Mm,
just imagine how much money they made off of my mom? If it was
mm,
in the States, here's different, because like healthcare, whatever, we have that, whatever
yeah.
treatments she needed was taken care
Yeah.
of. Like,
Yeah.
bro,
Yeah.
I told my mom, like I said, I'm not putting you in a hospital. You're gonna stay here. They gave me a hospital bed. They gave me the monitoring thing. Nurse came to my house every day.
Yeah.
Not
We have the
one
same
red
thing here.
penny came out of
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
pocket.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what
We
I
have the
mean?
same thing here. Yeah. Outpatients. And
Hmm.
it's like they do the treatment at home, because
Yes.
actually there's studies that have been done that find that people recover better at home in their home environment.
That is
around family.
exactly what the fucking doctor told me. We went to
Yep.
a checkup one time, and he's like, "Your mom's not doing too bad, you know." And he's like, "You know what? That it's a good thing that you kept her home." And I said, "Yeah, I did because it was close to Christmas time, and I'm like, my son was young. I'm not gonna be taking my son up and down to a hospital." I said, "No, if my mom is gonna pass away, she's gonna pass away here with us, with the family that loves her. You know what I mean? And I'm going to take care of my mom as best as I can." And that's what I did. And the government, they helped me out without a penny out of my pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
You
they
think
do.
you could do that in America? Unless you have like a health care or health insurance or something like that. No, that's not happening. Right. So, and then we got this guy here. Paul might like this one. I miss Trump.
Paul might like this one. What are you trying to say, buddy? What are you trying to say?
It's okay. We know you like Trump. It's all good, bro. You know what I mean?
Hang on. Can I just say, I like parts of Trump.
And that is
there
not.
are parts of Trump that appealed to me.
And that is not a problem, right?
And there's parts of it that I did not like at all. So,
right. And I'm never going to judge anybody because of who they like or what. Maybe his policies, you know, hit a tone with you where it's like, yeah, that makes sense and this and that, right? For me as a black man, the things he said didn't make sense to me. Like the things he was saying, stuff like that. I was like, this guy's a racist. But at the end of the day, we're not going to, our politics are different, but he's still my boy. You know what I mean? He's still someone I'm gonna come on stream with, debate it, argue about it, because we argue about this shit.
That's good, though, man. It's good. Why can't you have a discussion about this? That's the problem, is that no one wants to have a talk and try to see where the other side sees.
Exactly.
Right? You can say, "Oh, what did you like about Trump? He's a horrible person. He's a racist." Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how he was racist. Let's talk about what policies that he was good, like what I liked about his policies. Like, you can talk about it and you can be rational. And the problem is people are so quick to go to the emotive route. It's like if I said Obama like failed, he didn't, not one of his policies passed. Like he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything for the country. And we're like, okay, what did he do for the country? And I'd be like, well, if I talk about his policies never passing, that's a fact. Right? None of them succeeded. So, like, we can debate. Okay, did he do anything else?
Right.
Besides his policies,
right? Or so, why did his policies not pass? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Or we could talk about how he had the Senate, he had the House, and he passed no gun legislations in 4 years, even though he banged on about and the Democrats banged on about gun reform. But under Trump's reign, he banned bump stocks. He closed the gun show loophole. So, you know, you see, we can talk about these things and go,
right.
Some of the stuff he did was good, but then he was too loudmouthed. He did things on Twitter that almost caused world wars. Like, he can talk about these things.
Right. Exactly.
Like, so,
and I can leave a stream without saying, fuck this guy. This guy's a fucking clown and shit like that. No.
Exactly.
It's not gonna happen. Like, you know what I mean? I'm never gonna expect anybody to think the same way I do. What I can do is give my opinion, and you could say, "Oh yeah, that makes sense," or "No, it doesn't." You know what I mean? Maybe I give you something to think about later on in time, where you're like, you know what? Now you may see something, say, Anzo said something that made sense, or I may see something Paul makes sense with that. You know what I mean? That's why we have these conversations, guys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's good.
100%. And that's why we did this one too, because it just got ridiculous, man. Me and Paul would be laughing at these tweets. Like, what are you guys smoking?
Come to America with no money and no healthcare system, and just capitalism will rise you above. Like, it's like the world doesn't work that way. Like, these fools that are like, capitalism is so good. It's like, yeah, it's good if you're in a sockdom. Like country, which me and Nzo are in, a socialist democrat society, right? Where capitalism drives the economy, but we have a socialized healthcare system and a school system. Like, that's what Bernie essentially is. That's why it's so laughable to me. Conservatives here call him a communist. And I'm like, dude, you realize you live in the country that he wants, like, for America. He's a dumb idiot. Like, it's so
right.
That's how Americanized we are here, man, in Australia. Like, they take conservative talking points from the Republicans, the conservatives here, and our conservatives are so much different. I tell you the truth. If our conservative party went to outlaw universal healthcare, they would not be in power for the next 100 years.
Facts. Facts.
It's like it's crazy to me.
100% facts. You know what I mean? Like, you want to get rid of what? Hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Gone. Goodbye.
and never be elected again. You know why? Because there could be that one guy who you elect and he still agrees with that. And it's like, hey, this is what we want to do. You know what I mean? And a lot of these politicians, they know if that's something that can not get them elected, they won't say shit about it until they get elected. And then that's when they try to put these fucking bills and shit into place. You know what I mean? So you're absolutely correct, man. And I don't know, man. America, like I said, I hope this helps with some of you guys to understand where we're coming from. I hope you guys don't believe all the bullshit that you hear out there, because there's a lot of it, man. And it just drives me up a wall when I hear it. It really does, you know, especially when people, the one thing that irked me a lot, and I said this earlier, was, oh, well, you know, you got to wait hours for healthcare and this and that. But yeah, I'm walking out of there with no fucking money down. You know what I mean? No bill in my pocket. I'm coming out of there. If I need a heart transplant, I can get a heart transplant for free.
You can live. And not, well, that's the thing. It's not free. It's just that everyone puts into a giant pot.
Right.
Like during tax time, that pays for that, right?
Yes.
Everyone does their part at tax time so that everyone can live happily and healthy and contribute then to the economy, which is capitalistic.
Right.
That's what a socialist democrat society is.
Right. Healthcare
actually works.
Healthcare should not be a privilege. It should be a right.
It's a human right.
Yes.
So is education. It's a human right.
Facts. 100%. And this is all we are saying, man. We're not on here advocating certain things and this and that. We're just trying to explain to you some of the shit that you guys be hearing about our countries is absolute bullshit. And that's what it's about, man.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Do you have anything else you wanted to get off your chest or talk about?
Sorry, I just got reminded. Jess sent me a message. She was like, glasses, my dude, like glasses. And I was like, because I only just got glasses. like my eyes. And I'm like, I'm going to get off and be real like sore in the eyes. She's like, put the glasses on, man. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. I keep forgetting.
See, that's a good woman, making sure she's watching. Like, hey,
well, she was doing that last night, man, when I was getting fully loud and stuff, and she kept sending me a message going, breathe, and I was like, yeah, no, I got to take a breath here because I was getting like a bit amped, a bit fired, and she was like, no, breathe, you got to keep it low, and I'm like, yep, she's a good woman.
Absolutely.
But no, not really much. I don't have much else to say. Like I just think like if you're gonna. Don't assume like these. I think like these people that like do your own research and stuff. It's like the same people that don't trust news networks, right? They're the same people that have those talking points. Don't. It's like is an example, a practical example of this. Someone came to me and said they saw a video on the internet that said that the COVID congeals in your spinal column and it causes this black goo, whatever, inside of your body, et cetera, right? They said a video told them that, and I said to them. This is a person I respect. They're a person. They're a family member. I said to them, "Okay, I watched a video yesterday that said that the moon landings were fake.
Right?
You believe the moon landings are fake?
Right?
And they're like, no." And I'm like, "Do you see my point? The logic here? You can't just watch one video and get that. That's your source. You know what I do now? Since I became a lot more centrist, what I do now is I try to listen to people that actually counter my opinion more than actually agree with me." Because I want to hear if I'm challenged to change my opinion on something.
Exactly.
When I became centrist, I listened to a lot more leftists than I did. I came out of the conservative movement here because my father and mother were conservative. I came conservative. And then I moved close. In fact, I voted for the left-wing party in the state elections last year for the first time ever. I voted ever left was last year. So like, I've come very much to the center, and now I listen to mostly people that disagree because I want to be challenged. I want to hear it, right? If I stay in the bubble, Like, and that's why I go and listen to. That's why I know all the conspiracies, because I go and listen to people
Mm-hmm.
who don't believe the vaccine's efficacy, because I want to hear, oh, do they got a point? Do they bring up any studies? Do they bring any peer-reviewed studies up? Do they have any
Exactly.
evidence? And I haven't met one yet that has questioned it, that has evidence, any evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And except for don't trust my scientists. And it's like, well, then who do you trust?
For real.
You've been trusting them for years.
Yes, exactly.
Do we trust astrophysicists now? Do we trust any scientist?
See, that's the thing. They trust them until the narrative goes against what they think. And then it's like, oh no, you can't trust the scientists, right? But look where science has gotten us, guys. Like, really, look where it's gotten us. You know what I mean? So here's this one. 911 was an inside job. Do your research.
9/11. Do you?
9/11. Well,
9/11.
We weren't talking about 9/11.
Yeah, dude.
What?
When I put them on, I was like, I am now a complete nerd. I like my nerd, like when credit went like through the roof when I stuck the glasses. I'm like, I am now like full, like I have unlocked like ultra instinct nerd power.
Super Saiyan.
Super Saiyan, yeah.
Yeah, but 9/11. Okay, so
Are we going to do that? Are we going to talk about that? Do you want to talk about that? How much time do you have?
I got about 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, that's enough time. So here's what I believe about 9/11.
Go ahead.
Right? From what I've seen and all the videos I've seen and stuff, I believe that 9/11, as much as it was an inside joke, here's what I believe. Because they've released evidence that they knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen, and they let it happen. They moved the bulk of the fleet out of Pearl Harbor for war games and training exercises a week before they had documentation and evidence that there was an imminent threat coming, like for America. They were bombed, and it was Pearl Harbor was the destination. That those documents are released. They've been released. I think they were released like 2 years ago or something. Anyway, then we have the Columbine bomb, right? Where FBI agents were called not to come into the building that day, and engineers. Bomb engineers, etc., have now had looked at it, and the bomb, the way that the explosion happened, it looks like it was from inside outside. Like, not looks. The evidence shows that it came from inside out, not a truck bomb on the side. And then that dude was assassinated conveniently. Come to 9/11. Do I think they knew it was going to happen? Yes. Do I think they planned it? No.
Exactly.
Do I think that the Pentagon hit was a missile? Yes. If you look at the Pentagon from above and they put a plane over the top of it that was supposed to fly into that thing, there's no evidence of a fuselage. The wings were full of fuel because it just took off. That would have blown up half that building. The rubber would have continued through and blown up the other side. It was one little wall collapsed from a bomb or a missile. The Pentagon, I believe, was actually a inside thing. I do believe that. And they've got and also the other reason why it's really, really interesting. There's one camera that's pointed at that side of the building, and it's from a service station across from the Pentagon. The FBI sees that footage, and it hasn't been released.
Really?
So my theory here is where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So do I think that George Bush knew about it? No. I don't think he knew.
Neither do I.
I feel like it's just like a JFK thing, because I do believe JFK was taken out as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That dude had mob ties. The mob was into him, and they couldn't allow that. And that's why. And that's also what happened to Marilyn Monroe as well. You don't think someone came into a hotel room and put a needle in her arm, to make it look like? Yeah, dude. It's obvious. Governments have been doing this for years. Right. We have TV shows where you have CIA operatives doing this shit. They're taking it from real life. This stuff happens. It's
And this is what I was saying too, right? Like you said, yeah. Do I believe they knew about it? Yeah, but I believe America's arrogance was it's not. Yeah, it's just bullshit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because they hear all this chatter. You know what I mean? If they're monitoring all the stuff that they're monitoring, right? The FBI is doing all this stuff, and we know that there was chatter about it. It has been stated that there were little signs that something was going to happen. I just think they were arrogant. I'm like, whatever, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? They're not going to do anything to us. And then when it happened, it was like, holy shit. And that's when all this was the start of all the monitoring that you see now, all the tracking and all that shit. That 9/11 was what was able to get that bill passed. You go watch documentaries that they had a couple months ago on it, and they will tell you straight up, the minute that shit happened, the government was doing illegal shit with tracking people's phones and listening to all their shit. So, what did he say here? Why have every president since he died blocked the JFK files?
Yeah.
It's a good question. Good question. He said they did plan it. The people flying the planes were docked, trained by the CIA. Right. But again, the CIA has been training Afghanistan's and people for years.
Dude, they trained Osama bin Laden.
Yes.
They trained him to fight the Russians. Like,
exactly.
They made Rocky 3 is about them with the Taliban. He's with the Taliban in that movie. Like,
yeah, exactly. So, like, to sit here and say, yeah, they were trained by the CIA, but go watch those documentaries. CIA was going over there, giving them weapons, training them how to use the weapons when they're fighting the Russians, and then they left the country to fend for themselves. And that was one of the issues that they had, right? Because now when you leave, the Taliban, the terrorists or whatever, are able to take over the country, and that's what happened. Look at it now. Taliban's running Afghanistan now.
It's 20. It's like 20 years never happened in that country.
Yeah, 100%. Terrorists are running the country again. They took it over. Minute the Americans left, not only did the Americans leave, they left all their fucking weapons there.
Why? I don't understand, American man. I don't understand it. And then they released a thing where Biden actually released the names of people that helped the Yanks, like we call them the Yanks, helped the Americans, like, over there. So they all got killed. Like, they actually did, like, ex-servicemen. Yes. This is true. My dad read about this. Ex-servicemen actually went in under the cover of darkness and got those people out of Afghanistan when the American military wouldn't, because Biden wouldn't let them. Ex-service people did it because those people were loyal to America.
Yes.
And they left them to die.
Yes. They left a lot of shit over there, right?
That's messed up, man. That's so, like, I've got a guy who lives over here, right? And when they pulled out and they did that stuff, he hangs an Australian flag every morning. He's got a flagpole. He did 20 years service in the Royal Australian Air Force. He hung it upside down that day. And that means, for anybody who doesn't know, that means servicemen in distress.
Yes.
That's what it means, right? And you should have, my dad, he served in the RWF for 19. Dude, they gave their lives. He did a tour there, right? My friend did 2 tours there. He had an RPG go by his head. He saw his mates get maimed. He spent 48 hours under arms fire inside of an Afghani town. He has PTSD when he tries a car. He sees a box on the side of the road. He thinks it's an IED. This is just one guy. Think about all those soldiers. 20 years for nothing. And to leave people that were your allies that helped you. Just left them there to be tortured and killed by the time. This is unbelievable. And then America wants to judge Australia and say, and Canada and say, it's the Reich. Like, it's like, are you serious?
Exactly.
Are you serious right now? You have a president who can't even say the Australian Prime Minister's name. That guy down over there, that guy down under, you're a good guy.
And this is
like, it's really like the fact that you're criticizing our countries from this ivory tower that you think you have. Dude, what is happening? America used to be a place where everyone wanted to be.
Yes.
It used to be the hope, man. Irish people flooded to that country because it was like a new life, the new land. We can make something of ourselves.
Facts. And the thing about it is, like, this is why those countries don't like America, right? Because what they did is they went in there when it benefited them, and then when the benefit was done, they left the people to fend for themselves. So a
Yeah.
lot of people in those
After they
countries,
bombed their houses and their
yes,
infrastructure into
right,
oblivion.
right, right. And now you left us there at the hands of these terrorists. Why the fuck do you think they have such this? Like America thinks that, oh no, it's
Yeah.
not us, it's them. No, you guys
Yeah,
have
no,
done
no.
some dirt, bro. That's what it is. You know what I mean? Obama is a war criminal. Okay, well, I won't even get into that if that's what you think.
I don't know about
You know what I
that.
mean?
Yeah.
You know,
No, he did more drone strikes than Bush, but Bush invaded Iraq on the premise of the CIA lie. And that's they
right.
admitted they lied about
Mhm,
WMDs in Iraq, and he just
mhm.
completed Baghdad.
Yes,
He
yes,
completed what his Papa Bush started with Desert Storm. That was Desert
yes,
Storm 2.0.
yes,
And by the
yes.
way, it wasn't about oil. These fools in America, like these American media, foolish idiots, and the people that believe it, even here, right? It wasn't about oil. The Saudi Arabians own the oil fields in Iraq. They've been selling oil to America the entire time. That's why the Iraqis were burning them down and setting them on fire. Right?
Mhm.
The military, the royal guard of Saddam were burning these places down. That's why they had to go in and secure them when they first invaded Iraq. Right?
Yep.
It wasn't about oil. It was about finishing the mission.
Mhm. Exactly. And it's been said. They said it many times that that's what he was doing. He was finishing his father's job. He was finishing what his father was had started, and I believe that 100%. I do believe that it did have a lot to do with oil too, right? I do think they wanted to have a little bit
I will
more control
secure the
over the.
oil fields with the
Yes,
Saddam,
yes,
the Saudis. I could believe that because they were going to burn
yes.
them down, right?
Right,
And
right.
so that's why they had to secure them as soon as possible.
Hmm.
But and it was about also removing Saddam because they couldn't control him
Yes,
anymore.
yes, 100%. And if
That
you
was
guys
that was the
notice,
key goal.
And if you guys notice, a lot of these terrorists that they've taken down have been allies with America first.
Yeah,
Saddam, Osama bin
Osama.
Laden, they were allies with America first, right? But when their interests don't align with America's interests, then you know what? It's time to take these guys out. So, yeah, there's a lot of countries out there that don't like America, but it's not just because of them thinking the West is this way. It's because the West has abandoned them. You know what I mean? It's like a father leaving a child. That child's going to have some resentment for your father when he gets older. And that's exactly what's happening. So,
Yeah. And that
you know what I mean?
we don't beg for your help. We have a treaty with you. That's why we invade. Dude, this is the thing. Shit the fan will beg for America's help. Sorry, what actually happens is we have a treaty. So when you invade a country like Iraq or Afghanistan, guess who was there? You know the day of 9/11, you know what happened? My dad was in the RAF back then. They had a code, whatever it was, and his military boss literally rang up and was like, America, like, you need to get in. America's under
Mhm,
attack. They were
mhm,
preparing our military on the day when the first tower was hit, was
mhm,
preparing to move out with
mhm.
America because we have a treaty with you
Yes,
guys
Canada
to
too.
fight back, right?
Mhm,
Or to go into
mhm,
places. And that's what happened. My mates went over there, got PTSD because America went into Afghanistan and Iraq.
mhm.
That's what
Canadian
happened.
Canadians
It's
were
not
there
begging
too.
for your help. We have a literal treaty with you guys.
Yes, yes.
It's a treaty to do as like to be allies with you.
The United Nations. That's what it
If
is.
China came down tomorrow and cruise missiled Sydney, right?
Mhm.
America, you better believe the treaty would be called on.
Right.
And
And
America and Britain and the other Western countries would be down here rolling
right.
in,
Canada would
right?
be there
The
as well.
Pacific, the
Yes.
Pacific would have subs in there already. America would already have their subs over there, Wolf class and everything.
Absolutely, 100%. And
Yeah.
Canadians would join in, Australians
Yep,
would go in
that's right.
because we're
The New
all part
Zealanders,
of the
everyone,
United.
all
Yes, we're
part
all
of
part of the United
because
Nations.
we're part of the original allies that fought
Mhm.
against the axis of evil
Yes.
since World War II. That's when that treaty started.
Mhm.
But we
That is correct.
decided that hey, we stand for freedom. Like that's when the West stood together and went, we stand for freedom against
Facts.
tyranny. It's not about oh, we're begging for people's help. No, You guys have a duty, just like we have a duty, right? It's a duty to stand for freedom.
Our military makes us unstoppable. If that's the case, why America don't fuck with China? You know what I mean? If you guys are so unstoppable, why do you think America does not fuck with China?
Or North Korea.
Or North Korea, right? Because they will fuck America up. And America knows that if they go to war with these guys, it's gonna be a war, like possibly a world-ending war type of shit. You know what I mean? Because you done know that America has America told North Korea not to talk about their warheads a few years back, and what did North Korea do? Did a parade marching their warheads down the fucking street.
I'll give you this, man. I'll give you this. Trump stomped him on the internet, man. He was like, I'm going to launch my things. He's like, my red button is bigger than yours, douche. And what happened? He invited him to come. The first American president ever. He invited him to come and stand in North Korea and make a treaty with him. I'll give you Trump that. That took balls, man. And it was like one of the funniest things ever. He called him Rocket Man. He called the leader of North Korea an insane madman, right? Who locks people up, who criticize him. He rules tyrant. He's a tyrant. He's actually a tyrannical leader. He called him Rocket Man. I mean, this is like, that's people are like, oh, it's crazy. He's going to start a war. What happened? He's the first American president to go stand in that soil, and like North Korea had to like shut the hell up. They knew. They knew. And also, I think a lot of them were afraid, just like America was, that Trump was a madman. So, like, they were like, "Oh, we better not mess with this guy. He's going to press his red button on us." I'm not even
gonna lie. I was like, Trump's gonna start this fucking war. I'm like, I know he is, right? I said that myself. I was like, yeah, we're in trouble.
I say something else about America. You live there, Jess, and I'm coming there.
I was gonna say, you better say something nice real quick, bro.
Yeah. It's easy to criticize. It's also like I did say something else about America. You have the First and Second Amendment. You have a Bill of Rights. You have a right to attorney. You know, in Australia, we don't have a right to attorney. We have to fund one ourselves, or we have to present ourselves in court by ourselves. We don't have a right to attorney.
Right. And we're not going to say this, like he said, fuck America. No, it's not fuck America show. This show was basically to talk about the fucking bullshit that they say about our countries. You know what I mean? But it's not fuck America, man. America, hey, you guys give us the best movies. You guys give us all our entertainment. You know what I mean? Where the fuck would we be without it? Like, I ain't watching the Canadian right, and I ain't watching the Canadian Football League. I'm watching your NFL shit every Sunday.
Right, yeah. We have our own football here. We don't really get a lot of televised sport from America, but like, yeah, I would, that's what I like. America has a lot of good things, man. It's just like, unfortunately, it happens to be a lot of conservatives. Or anti-vaxxers seem to be a lot of conservatives instead of saying a lot of stupid things about like our countries. And they just don't understand that, like, when you have a legal mandate to stay inside and you don't wear masks, you go out into the street, the government has a fiduciary duty to protect its citizens from your stupidity. And so they're going to send the police, and the police, if you start rioting or doing dangerous things, they're going to fire tear gas into you. They're going to fire rubber bullets into you to disperse you, to say, wake up, go home. So
same thing they do when the Canadians win the fucking Stanley Cup here and people fucking go crazy, turn over cop cars. They you know what I mean? When everything is cool, like people are just celebrating, there's no issues. But the minute they start doing shit like turning over cop cars, breaking in stores, that's when the tear gas, and that's when they have to get aggressive, right? But what happens with this YouTube stuff, I'm going to close it up pretty soon, but what happens with this YouTube and Twitter stuff is they take a context of what the whole fucking article is, and they take that narrative and try and twist it so that it fits what they're trying to say. And that's the problem. And we're here to let you know that there's a lot more to the narrative than just what you're seeing on there, man. So, and last comment here is Geopolitics 101. We fuck with China or North Korea, everybody gets killed. Mutually assert self-destruction. Facts. 100%. That is correct. With that being said, guys, I got another stream to go to. Yes, it's okay. It's hard to be king. You the man. I love food. You the man. It's funny, but yeah.
Yeah, we owe a lot to it, man. Without the and this is the thing, people criticize it. Without the military-industrial complex that started in World War II, where every state built something for the war effort, we would not have won that war.
Facts.
Without America, we would not have beat the Yazidis, and we would not have beat the Japanese. Like that's just a
fact. Yeah, 100%. So we may be sitting here and it may be sound like we're trashing America. We're not. You know what I mean? You guys are. I love the support you guys give us. Love that you come in here and watch us all the time.
And the Cold War as well. Without Ronnie Reagan saying we will annihilate the Communist Party, the USSR would never have fallen. Dude, that dude scared the trash. Dude, that was so scared he was going to nuke them every day. Like,
Facts. Facts. Because I remember
it takes an insane man in the president's seat to crush a tyranny. I'm just saying.
Yes, because I remember when I was growing up, that was one of my biggest fears was a nuclear fucking war, bro.
Yeah, man. The Cold War, man.
Reagan didn't fuck around with that shit, bro. Anyways, I got to close up because I got to go to Rob Storms now. Paul, tell the people about your channel and talk to the people then, please.
Yeah, my channel is HalogenHelix. I talk about the last stream is a bit of a thing, but like usually I talk about pop culture topics. We get into it sometimes. We have arguments about it. It's all good fun. We're all friends at the end of the day. Sometimes we do game streams. Sometimes we do random streams. Trying to get more consistent with the number of streams throughout the week. But my regular one is on a Thursday night for you guys in America and Canada, entering into the early morning. And Friday nights for Australians and like this sort of time period of the world, because time zones are weird. I lose a day when I fly to America next year. I'm going to lose a day, and then I gain one back as I like fly back. It's so weird, man. I fly out on Friday and I land on Friday morning. Like I fly out on Friday night, I land in on Friday morning. It's really weird, but yeah.
Yep. Flash, add me on Xbox, BigAfford187. If I'm not tired after Rob's show, I'll definitely play you in a few games. With that being said, guys, I want you guys to check out the show that Paul had last night, right? Because there was a channel that trashed them and they have a big following. So a lot of people are going to believe their truth. But if you want the real truth, check out Paul's channel, his stream from last night, man. He's in the description box. His channel is on my channel. So you guys can go over there for sure. And I do appreciate him coming in and doing this with me. And I do appreciate everybody that came in to watch as well. Thank you guys very much. See you on the flip side. Peace, love, and hair grease. We out.